Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of B6 and Beyond. You're here with me and Cory tonight to have a quick chat about what to expect for the Sunderland game, and we're going to touch on that Brentford game just to pre-warn you. But before we do get into it, just a reminder, we do have an ongoing giveaway for either match tickets or a shirt of your choice. All that you have to do is click that subscribe button. We have a goal for this video of 20 likes, so please drop a like on the video. It really does go a long way for us in helping our channel grow. Cory, how are you, mate? You okay?
I'm not bad, Ben. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I can't complain. Been an interesting few days for obviously with the Villa game, and So, how do you? Have you seen any of the highlights? I know you didn't get to watch the game yourself.
I've seen the goals, and I saw the penalties. I saw Sancho's chance as well. Obviously, I can only go based off what I've heard. By the sounds of it, obviously Harvey Elliott seemed to have a good game. I think a lot of people were a bit bemused as to why he got bought off when he did. Again, it seems a weird one from Unai, especially considering of the two, Harvey Elliott's had game time with Liverpool. It's not like Sancho, where Sancho, you maybe say, give him 60 minutes just so he can get up to match fitness. He seemed like a positive spark, Harvey Elliott. From what I've heard, Sancho didn't do too badly. I think for someone who hasn't really played, well, he had no pre-season as well. Obviously, there's been a lot of rave reviews about Konza. Konza having a really good game. Marlon, not so much. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's disappointing again. We got a goal, which was great. I thought from there maybe we'd kick on and go and get 2 or 3. I know that's obviously optimistic with how we have been, but you just never know. And to lose, listen, we're out of the cup. It's one less thing to focus on. It's easy to say that now that we're out of it, but it is what it is. Ben, you obviously watched the game. Any sort of?
It was better, but I wouldn't say it was miles and miles better. I still think there was it didn't completely click, which you kind of expect when you've got a front four of Marlon, Sancho, Harvey Elliott, and Gesson that haven't had much game time together, really. I think Elliott was good, and I really did like Sancho. I've got Gesson, I'm not convinced. I've got to be honest with you. I know it's very early. He needs a lot of coaching to get up to the standard at the moment. He's nowhere near for me. And Marlon was poor again, in my opinion. He didn't really have much service, so I'll kind of give him a little bit of leeway. But just generally, he just wasn't really involved in the game, and his hold-up play was pretty poor. Positives, I'd say Lamar Bogard had a very good game again in centre midfield. I really, really enjoyed his performance. Defensively, we were pretty good. At the end of the day, the goal that we conceded was a ridiculous strike from Aaron Hickey.
Yes,
No, it's Hickey. I can't remember if his first name was Aaron. Aaron Hickey. It was a lovely strike. It reminded me of Gerrard volley that he scored for Liverpool. But he's took it well.
As I saw someone on Twitter actually trying to say that the whole goal was Pau Torres' fault, which was ridiculous. I looked at sort of the way they evaluated. They said, he's tried to play the ball forward, it shot intercepted. He then gave away the throw-in, and then his header wasn't good enough. And listen, I didn't see the build-up to it, but my thought process there, what do you expect? When a throw-in comes in, a throw-in is at flat speed. It's not at a speed where if you get a good enough connection, you can head it to the halfway line.
They're always going to look for someone to blame, mate.
Ultimately, if you're going to blame anyone for it, and we don't need to, but if you're going to blame anyone, it's Harvey Elliott and Marlon for not reacting in that situation. But it was a well-taken goal. At the end of the day, even though he had the time to shoot, it was still a hell of a strike to even get it where he did. And it needed to be a good strike from there as well, so...
Yeah, we could have scored a few more goals. Obviously, you had the Sancho one where he's hit the post, which I don't actually think was that bad of an effort. You know, it's come at him fairly quick on his weak foot as well. Probably could have passed it to Marlon, but he's had the shot and he's hit the post. Yeah. Matty Cash has to do better with his chance at the end. McGinn's obviously whipped that lovely ball in, and he's just hit it straight at the keeper. If he's going to shoot, he has to put it in the net. But obviously, the pass is there to Watkins, rolls it across the box, and Watkins has got a tap into an empty net 6 yards out, which we've seen. We've seen Ollie Watkins miss a hell of a lot of good opportunities for Villa. But I would have put my mortgage on him scoring that. So.
I mean, Matty Cash is actually a topic that I sort of wanted to discuss because you reminded me there. I was watching, I don't know if you saw it today, it was the highlights from when we beat Everton 3-0 on this day a few years ago. It was Matty Cash's first goal in that for Villa in that game. And I was watching that then, and I said it a couple podcasts ago. Obviously, Matty Cash's best football for Aston Villa was under Steven Gerrard. We know that. He's been such a weird player this season, because for me, I'd probably say he's probably been in our top 3 players this season, based on performances. But he always seems to be at fault for a lot of things that go wrong. And I think that's one big issue that he does have is, I mean, we know obviously you're not his biggest fan, but even you've come out and said on this podcast and on TikTok and that yourself that performance-wise, you can't really fault him in terms of defensively. He's been brilliant when he's been called upon. Against Grealish, I thought he was really good. The Newcastle game, he was man of the match comfortably when we went to that game. The Brentford game, I thought he did well. And
Crystal Palace, he was horrendous.
Palace, he was, but no one was great in that
day.
game. The defence that day were very poor. So it's just what is best for Matty Cash? Because his defensive game seems to improve massively. But ultimately, we know he's got that attacking threat. But by the looks of it, it almost feels like Unai's telling him he's not allowed to do that. Because it's if you speak to you see him at Poland, he's getting these goals. He's not really getting into positions for Villa anymore that he used to get into. And I think that's something that must have been coached. We spoke about, obviously, Grealish with Pep, how Grealish stopped taking people on. I wonder if that's something that's happened where he just wants him as an out-and-out fullback rather than progressive. But
it would make sense considering he does cut back and amount. So it really wouldn't surprise me if it was tactically driven by Unai Emery. Like I'll stand with you on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another one. I'm glad you brought up Lamar Bogard. Obviously, he was a player that we both pointed out at the start of the season, said this could be a really important season for him, and fair play to him. When he's played, he's taken the chance with both hands. I think one thing that obviously you do notice when he's playing is he's not quite that sort of Boubacar Kamara player who can take it on the half turn. His dribbling and stuff has got a lot better by Bogard, and his composure's definitely got a lot better, but he's still obviously a bit raw in terms of when that ball goes into him. It's not the same as Kamara, where it's that half turn and then looking for a pass, similar with Tielemans, when Tielemans picks up the ball deep. But
I do think he's generally opening up a door for the potential sale of someone like an Amadou Onana either.
Potentially, yeah, and I don't think that's a bad shout at all. I think if Bogard keeps playing the way he is, there's no reason why we can't have him come in and replace an Amadou Onana. Again, I don't want to mention these two because they are so vital for us, but depending on how the season goes, a Kamara or a Tielemans, where if the money's needed, one of them two is going to have to be shifted. And I don't. It's a massive drop in class, but the way Bogard's progressing this season, come the end of the season, it might not be that big of a loss.
That's why I think Onana will be the one that potentially gets shifted, because we ain't got what we need out of him. And I think realistically, if we can recoup even 40 million, I'd hope we'd get his wage back, his salary back. I mean, not salary, his transfer fee back, which is around 50 million mark, considering he is still young. He still is of that profile, which is what you would want for a top midfielder in the Premier League. But ultimately, he hasn't produced it for Aston Villa, in my opinion. So, real positives to take into that game for me is we definitely created a lot more than what we have.
Yeah.
But there weren't, I would say, clear-cut chances. The real clear-cut one was, obviously, the goal we scored come from a mistake from them. But the Matty Cash chance was another big clear-cut chance. But we didn't create bags of chances. We had the Morgan Rogers shot towards the end as well, which he's done well to get away from his player. Yeah. So what do we want to see from Villa against Sunderland?
I mean, ultimately, listen, I'm not going to say I've watched a lot of Sunderland this season. I've seen their results and they've done well. They've started well, and obviously going to the Stadium of Light as well, it's going to be a tough game. It was always going to be a tough game whether they'd started well or not. It's the Stadium of Light. We know they've got 50,000 fans there that are going to be behind them. North East fans, very good fans, just like the Geordies and that sort of thing. But ultimately, we still are the better team. Whether not on form or anything like that, but player-wise, we have to go out there and play the way we should. We've got to go out there with the intent to win. Sunderland, for me, I think they're probably just going to do what most teams do against Villa, which works well, and just sit back and try and soak up the pressure and hit us on the counter-attack.
You think?
Potentially, and if they do that, there's the chance that they can win. That's the thing against Villa, is the one thing under Unai that we've just never seemed to be able to do is break down low blocks, and obviously we're not creating enough at the moment as it is. For me personally, I'd like to see Sancho play him. I'd like to see Harvey Elliott playing. I'd like to see Rodgers playing as your three behind Watkins. And I want to see some runs in behind. I want to see some pace. I want to see Pau Torres playing that ball into Kamara. I want it needs to be quick. Maatsen needs to be playing as well. I genuinely think Maatsen and Sancho can link up, and they've done it before at Dortmund. There's something that they could unlock there. And for me, yes, we're going away to a team that are above us in the league and a team that are doing better than us at the moment, but we are still on paper the better team, and we have to go out there and show it. And I think from Villa's point of view, they have to make a statement. An early goal would settle a few nerves, and then go on and control the game from there.
So I'm guessing just off what you've just said there, Emi Martinez in goal, Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres, Maatsen, McGinn, Kamara. Then on the right, it would probably be, I would imagine, Harvey Elliott, potentially Rodgers, either one of them in the 10, and then Sancho, Watkins.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe the only one maybe that you change is maybe Bogard for McGinn, but I think...
Where's the creativity coming, though, from the centre of the park, then?
That's
I think you have to...
Step in.
It's
I
not...
think it's
me,
difficult. I do agree. I think obviously if you do put Bogard in there, you do have that risk of... But that's the only interchangeable thing. The rest should be set in stone as that.
I think if you play Bogard and Kamara, you're basically playing two defensive midfielders then, and that's a risk in itself for me. I do think John McGinn will play in there. In an ideal world, Tielemans would be fit, but sadly not. So I think it will be what I've just said. Well, I say that, but this is Unai Emery and predicting what Unai Emery does.
Game, isn't he?
I'm not 100% sure. I was waiting for the press conference, which is tomorrow, isn't it? So
I know he was meant to be, but obviously we know what Unai's like in terms of sugarcoating things.
It could be worse. It could be better. Yeah. We'll see what he says tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. Really, I just want to see us play a bit more on the front foot and actually control the game a little bit better. But I don't agree with you in terms of what Sunderland are going to do. I do think they're going to stick it on us. Like for me, I think we're a bit of a wounded animal at the moment. We're either going to bite back, or we're going to roll over and have our bellies tickled again. And I think Sunderland will be sniffing, they'll be smelling blood, because with the atmosphere at the stadium of like their fans are going to be well behind them. If they get an early goal against us, it could be a long afternoon. It sounds ridiculous because it's a newly promoted side, and realistically, our side is head and shoulders above theirs. Yeah. It just because of how poor we've been, it just feels that it's a more of a difficult game than what it should be.
I think one thing I want to see from a Villa perspective as well is everything to be a lot quicker. Like, for example, Martinez. When Martinez comes and claims crosses, he's always looking for an outlet straight away. And I want to be able to see that on the weekend. I want it to be a case of if he does come and claim crosses, Sancho's there waiting for the ball, Elliott's ready to get the ball.
Ollie Watkins long.
Watkins long, yeah. Those sort of things where we're ready to receive the ball.
What happened to when Martinez used to get it, and then he used to pump it down the channels for Watkins to go, and we literally put us on the front foot straight away. Where's that gone?
To be honest with you, a lot seems to have changed, and I saw a good point the other day actually about the high line we used to play, and it's like, why have we stopped playing that? The high line never failed us.
Oh, it was brilliant.
It was. When Unai came and we played that high line, that's what got us that European football. Was we caught teams offside more than anyone else. It meant that when we were getting offsides, it was high up the pitch, so we were basically taking free kicks from inside of a team's half because it was on the halfway line. It was brilliant. It's really difficult at the moment to pinpoint what Villa need to do because they need to do everything better. There's not one thing. The only thing you could maybe say that we're doing well at the moment is defending. And even then, what's the point in not conceding goals if you're not going to score any?
Yeah, but I think that's a little bit... Sorry, I think that's a little bit towards Unai Emery, though, because I think he's... And he has, since the first game of the season, been setting up not to lose.
Yeah.
You know, naturally, if you're going to be a bit more tighter, a bit more defensive, a bit more rigid in your structure, you're probably going to concede less goals. But ultimately, it's going to come at the sacrifice of what you're doing up the other end.
Yeah, definitely. I think for some reason the process has changed. Like we've obviously, I think. I'm not going to say the same thing. I've seen a lot of Villa fans saying we've overachieved so far in terms of we're ahead of the plan and that sort of thing, which I do understand, and that is the case. But at the end of the day, we've put ourselves in a position where we have overachieved. So why are we now trying to sit back and go back to where we're supposed to be? This is where we should be saying, well, we've overachieved.
Kick on.
Let's keep overachieving. Kick on, doing it. There's no point now saying, oh, we're 3 years ahead of schedule. Let's drop back 3 years, try and finish 10th in the league, and then try and knock on for Europe next year. That's not how it should be. It should be a case of we go out there, play the football we have been playing, the football that's got us to where we are. I mean, we look a shadow of ourselves. I mean, I saw the goal from the other day against when we beat Arsenal 1-0. And I think it was all but one player touched the ball for Villa that day. And when we scored that goal against Arsenal, the McGinn goal.
Mm-hmm.
And you just think now, where are these passes coming from? The players look like they don't want the ball. The players who do want the ball are getting tackled straight away. The players who are off the ball aren't helping each other out. And it is difficult. Again, like you say, people like Gesson coming in. He looks raw, and it's like, we don't have a season to let him bed in. If we're going to spend money on someone like him, we need him to be coming in and hitting the ground running. For me personally, watching him, I could see him being a good wing back at some point because his tackling's immense. But we signed him as a striker, basically, or as a forward player, someone who, if Watkins wasn't firing, was going to be that guy. But
I don't see him as a striker. I don't even know if I see him as a winger, to be honest. I don't want to sound like I'm digging out Evan Gesson, but I have not enjoyed what I've seen so far from him. He just looks like Bambi on ice.
It's a very weird. He's another one similar to Cash in terms of, like you said, we're not going to dig him out or anything. He's another one similar to Cash where that Everton game when he came on, his tackling and stuff was brilliant. He did really well against Grealish, but that's not why we've signed him. We've signed him to put the ball in the back of the net or put the ball on a plate for Watkins and Rodgers and whoever else is there. And like you say, when he's getting the ball, it's very clunky. And I've seen a lot of people comparing him to Duran the first season. We had Duran. It's like I say, we're not in a position where we can have players who need a year to develop.
Sadly, though, but financially, that's kind of where we've been put in that position, haven't we? But you say that, other teams are buying players and they're hitting the ground running, aren't they? So I do sometimes question our recruitment, which I'm not going to go into now, because I think we could do a completely separate video on that, and we could probably do a 2-part video on it. There's a lot to digress.
I think that's the thing, and I saw a tweet today actually about someone made a really good point, and they said about, like, you look at Palace, Brighton, Forest, teams like that. Forest are obviously a bit of an exception. Everyone goes on about how well they've recruited with what they've got, but they finish 12th, 10th, 11th every year. We've had to take those sort of risks of trying to break rules to get to where we are, and unfortunately now it's coming back to bite us. But ultimately, that's not what we're here. We're here to talk about the Sunderland game, and I think, like I say, it's got to be a statement game. We've got 3 games now, which are all very win. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had every game this season we should have won, really, on paper. Maybe Newcastle and Everton as the two but the 2 games that we haven't lost are the ones that we're sort of done well in. But
I'm pretty sure we had this conversation before the season started about our draw. I mean, of what we got, the way the fixtures planned out, and we thought, we've had a really, really nice touch here in terms of the start of the season.
Oh, 100%. And the way we've started the season, the last couple of seasons. Listen, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If anyone sees this and decides to clip it, I was expecting us to be top 2, top 3, maybe even top by this point because of who we had. And that's no disrespect to the teams we've had, but they're teams that we should be winning. There was games that I'd look at and say, if it's the same Villa from last year,
we beat them. We'd have beat Newcastle.
Same Villa from last year, I would have expected us to have almost full points, bar maybe 1 or 2 games. But it's not the same Villa, and it's a different thing. But now we've got 3 games that we have to win. For me, the least points we should be looking at is 7.
I've got to win all 3, mate.
We've got to win all 3, but 7 is the least we can look at, and that would be probably Fulham that I'd say you could draw against, because Fulham aren't a bad side. I mean, Sunderland aren't.
Not a Villa Park, mate. I would say the Sunderland. If we was to drop at any points, I would say potentially the away day to Sunderland could be a bit more tricky. But at Villa Park, we have to be beating Fulham and we have to be beating Burnley. It should be without question. As good as Fulham are, they're not a bad side at all. But this is Aston Villa Football Club at Villa Park against Fulham. It shouldn't even be a question.
Exactly. I think as well, one thing, sort of a question I've got for you here, Ben, is from both perspectives now, where do you see Villa based on the result on the weekend? If we beat Sunderland, what does that mean? And if we lose to Sunderland, what does that mean?
What, in terms of league position, league finish, or just in general?
No, just as a whole. So, like, for example, I've seen a lot of people saying, obviously, if we lose to Sunderland, that's where you start to question Unai and things like that. If we beat Sunderland, obviously, that's where it should be a turning point for us. That's straightforward. If we do win, it should be the turning point. It should be where we can say, right, we'll kick on from here.
I don't particularly think it. If we don't beat Sunderland, I don't necessarily think it's at that point to question Unai already.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a million miles away though. I think if we was to out of the 3 games, if we was to get less than 4 points, say if we was to lose 2 out of 3, then I think it is really there's going to be questions to be asked, because we will be in a real difficult position then. And I think leading into that next international break, whether the club look to assess it, which then on the flip side of that, if we beat Sunderland and then go and beat the next 2 teams, you could be back towards the top 6.
Yeah. It's a really weird situation that Villa are in at the moment. Like you say, we're back towards the top 6. You look at someone like Ollie Watkins, and listen, people, every year's the same with Ollie Watkins. He doesn't score for the first few games. We know this. Villa fans will name me a season he's been at Villa where he's kicked on from the get-go. He takes 4-5 games to get going. Once he gets that first goal, that for me is going to be the key. If he scores on the weekend against Sunderland, we'll be able to tell where his head's at based on the next 2 games after that.
It worked right with him though. That's what's annoyed me this season. He doesn't seem to be busting a gut lot for the team.
This is what I mean. So if he goes and gets his goal against Sunderland, and then goes and bags against Fulham and Burnley, it's just the same Ollie Watkins that we've seen the last few years, where he looks disinterested, gets a goal and turns up. If he goes and bags against Sunderland on the weekend, and then in the next 2 games he's just not interested again, that's where you have to wonder what's going on with Ollie Watkins. Because he's openly come out and said he's never once tried to force a move away from Villa. He's happy at Villa. So what's changed there? And the same, John Percy came out today and said Rodgers, he's not tried to force a move. He's been happy with being at Villa. Like, he never tried to force a move despite the attention. So what is happening specifically with those 2 players?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Morgan Rodgers plays as well, especially after his Instagram post. What is it? Don't write us off, or don't count us out. Well, I think you have to start playing for us to even count you at the moment, Morgan, because you haven't been playing now for about 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Might sound harsh, but
no, it's factual. I mean, you can't count him into something that he's not been a part of. And that's.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a better performance from him on the weekend. I do think that if we have to see Sancho, him and Harvey Elliott behind Watkins this weekend. That for me is our strongest 3 behind Watkins. I don't want to see Daniel Marlon. Personally, I'd rather see him off the bench.
The minimum we have to see is Elliott and Rodgers for me. Like I say, Sancho for me. If I was picking it, it'd be those 4. Sancho, Rodgers, Elliott, Watkins. But the minimum I want to see is Elliott and Rodgers.
I think Elliott might play as the 10, you know.
I could see it. Shift Rodgers.
And then Rodgers to the left and Sancho on the right. I think I can genuinely see that, because I think Sancho gives you an out right winger, but then you lose the potential of Maatsen and him. And then if Maatsen's not playing, does he then look at Luca Dean, because Luca Dean's a better defender?
My question for you, Ben, is let's say he doesn't play Sancho just because in terms of game time and stuff like that, and he goes Rodgers left, Elliott centre. Who then fills in on the right? Do you go for Marlon? Do you go for Gesson? Do you go for McGinn and play Bogard in the middle? Do you potentially?
I think it might be Gesson, and that's a little bit to do with how well he presses and his defensive work rate as well, because you got to think one of their major areas where they can threat is through the left channel through Simon Adingra. So it might be something that Unai assesses and looks at that. I'm not too worried about Talibi personally, and I'm not too massively worried about Wilson Isidore or Mayenda or Brian Bobby or whatever his name is. He was shit when we played against Ajax. Robbie, he was terrible.
The one thing I'd throw out, again, it won't happen, but we have seen him play there before. Is
Don't say Matty Cash.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
No, just in terms of like out of the three options you've got. Listen, for me, obviously Marlon is undoubtedly probably the best out of the three in terms of his finishing ability, stuff like that. But he's obviously on a poor run. Gesson's on a poor run at the moment. If we're looking to get Bogard into the team, we've obviously got the chance to push Konza.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You got the chance to push Konza right. I don't want to see Matty Cash playing in that position, but
he does a job there. He does. I'm not going to slate him, but if we put Matty Cash at right midfield, it just screams incredibly defensive, and yeah, I just don't want to see it. I just hope.
I'm just envisioning Burnley away 2 seasons ago where he bagged his brace against them.
Yeah. Well, he has, and I think I probably slated him then as well before the game. But I would rather see Unai actually just show a pair of bollocks and just go for the game.
Fun fact, actually, this is irrelevant to football. FPL, Matty Cash is the highest performing defender in FPL in a game week. Because of that, that's that week against Burnley, he got 2 goals, and I think he scored or assisted in one of the other ones.
How's he done that then?
That's what I was thinking. I think he got a clean sheet or an assist in one of the games, and 2 goals against Burnley in the same week.
The thing is, when he's good, he's good, but I think there'll always be doubters for Matty Cash. Like I said, I don't think he was that bad against Brentford. He just... I'm not even going to slate him for the penalty because ultimately it was a good penalty. The one for me is just the chance at the end. If he has a bit more composure and he passes that across or finds the net, everyone's happy.
I've still not seen that one, thankfully. I know you said I'd be
able
to see even if I saw it.
It's not even. I don't know why he shot. Put it that way. If he scores, it's a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
Because he's so close to the keeper, he's just literally twatted it right at him. But if he literally just Watkins is empty, you literally see Watkins there screaming, "Why are you not passing it to me?" So,
shall we go on to what our predictions are then for the game? I feel like the best way to do it is do 1 being an optimistic fan and 1 being realistic.
Okay, optimistic 4-0 Villa.
Okay.
Very optimistic.
I reckon, yeah, to be fair, I was thinking 3-0 or 3-1. Because the thing is we are capable of that. We are capable of, if we get a goal, like say, if Watkins gets a goal, all of a sudden he'll come alive, and if Rodgers gets himself a goal, he'll come alive, that sort of thing. Realistically...
2-1 Villa.
I'm going to say 2-0.
I think we've both been optimistic there, to be honest, saying that we're going to score 2 goals.
Well, yeah.
Still haven't scored in the Prem, remember?
That's very true. Something's got to give, and I think there'll be an early goal in the game, personally. Couldn't tell you who for, but I think there'll be an early goal.
If Ollie Watkins scores an early goal, we win the game.
Yeah, I think that's a fair.
I think we've covered pretty much everything that we needed to.
Yeah.
Right, on that note, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. All your support is very much appreciated. And one last thing from me and Corey, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.